Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Glimmer Gang podcast. We officially know how to play, and we are joined by two special guests this week to talk about all the new rules. Disclaimer, this podcast was recorded live on Twitch, so if you do ever want to catch one of those streams, you can check us out on twitch.tv/glimmergangpod. But for now, everyone, take it away.
So the first thing we got from is the GTM magazine. We got a lot to look at the product, and we got the cover. We have all these new cards that we got. We got Yzma, we got a new Scar, we got a new Hercules, Belle, Mickey Mouse, LeFou, which the LeFou card is very interesting. But we also got more descriptions and then some sleeves, some playmats, and the binders. But what do you guys think about this? Like the new product and the new cards. What were your guys' first reactions? Because this was the very first piece of news we all got before everything else went down.
I mean, the stuff looks great, but what a brutal way to have the rules revealed, right? Just like I know a lot of people got pictures of them and were spreading them around, but the first ones I saw, you couldn't even really read the text.
Real
it was
grainy.
just like just a folded magazine, and I was just I don't even know this magazine, so I was like, where did this come from? How did this get out? Just a really weird like first impression of the rules, but it was cool to get this like at the same time to get this like blurry like, you know, everybody's trying to interpret it, what's going on, and then, you know, hours later to get the full reveal. So it was exciting.
It was like passing contraband around.
It really was.
I don't share this with anybody, but I got the images.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you see this?
Yeah. Someone posted it first in Discord, and everyone was like, oh god, take it down. And then people were like, what do we miss? And it was like, it was crazy. It was a wild day yesterday.
It was,
Oh,
dude.
yeah,
I'm still reeling from yesterday too. Like it was so much. Just one.
But as far as the product itself, my mind was immediately drawn to this Mickey Mouse Steamboat Willie card. I love the black and white aesthetic. I feel like they missed an opportunity here having the background be colored, but I understand that this is a glimmer of Steamboat Willie, who's black and white, and he's existing in the Inklands, driving his little boat around, taking people on ferry rides, I guess. But I love this playmat. It's probably one that I'll be getting.
Yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park on the playmats. I mean, I'm not a big Steamboat Willie person, but the Maui and the Maleficent look phenomenal.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
sleeves
Leaves a little bit to be desired.
And the deck boxes, maybe not so much.
That Mickey. Sorry, Blake. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying. When I first saw the list that they put on the website whenever they first dropped that they were going to have all of these accessories, I was like, oh yes, I want the Mickey Mouse set of everything. And now that I see it, and now I see the deck box and sleeves don't even match the playmat, I'm like, well,
It is a bit weird. Yeah. Although, if it's just going to be blown up card art, like Brave Little Taylor's going to be an awesome playmat. Right?
Yeah,
like,
I was
we
totally
do have
expecting
some examples.
Brave Little Taylor
For sure.
to be like the thing for Mickey.
Yeah. Rockstar Stitch will be a really cool playmat.
Yeah, the Stitch portfolio, I'm 100% kidding. I'm super excited for that.
No, that they knocked it out of the park with that. Both the portfolios look great. The Evil Queen centering is a little weird, but the Stitch one is amazing. Can't wait to see the card.
They're stretched, right? It's not a wider image. It's the exact same image that's on the cards, but they're square on the cards and they're widescreen on the playmat.
The big thing with the sleeves, like the Mickey sleeve, is why is the Mickey sleeve brown? Like, why doesn't it have a black border?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
or at least all around. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like if it had a border that looked like the other two, it would fit and be okay. But it just has this weird brown situation going on.
Yeah, I'm not super impressed with all that. Although I will say this is our third Mickey, and third color too.
Fourth Mickey. Unless we're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the yellow sleeve, that would be a fourth Amber
Not-
Mickey.
Oh yeah, I guess so. That is probably a card too, isn't it?
Yeah,
So yeah,
Also,
so we
I
have
would
uh,
suspect.
Third Maleficent with the
Yep.
Amethyst one.
four
based off the
Mickey,
playmat.
4 different colors. So I'm sure we'll have a Mickey in every color at this point.
That seems likely. Yeah, that seems likely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected anything else. The amount of Maleficents we have, though, is surprising.
I'm all in for it. Maleficent is my favorite villain. I love the Maleficent movie with Angelina Jolie. Both of those were really good. I like them a lot. So I'm happy about it. I think Mickey and Maleficent, they're two staples in the Disney franchise. I think they're very recognizable. So I'm not surprised that we have multiples of them. But yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Maleficent is
staples
very
in the
prominent.
Disney franchise.
Yeah, we know we're getting at least one more Elsa.
Yep. Got that in writing.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it at the card backs again, I'm not convinced that the card backs will match card art. That would be weird. That's not how other games do it either. And unless it's like they match full art cards, then you have what? The same art on the front and back of a card. That's kind of weird, you know?
Yeah.
So that could be bespoke art that's not related to the actual card art.
Sure. Yep.
Well, I mean, but then the Hook one is is the card art. So
That is true. So,
Oh, you're right. It is. Interesting.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. Plus the Maui playmat is card art.
The
and
playmats,
steampunk-
yeah.
The playmats are. Yeah. So I'm very interested to see if why that Mickey is so different is just really what I want to know.
oh, it reminds me of the Mickey of from like Disney Channel. That's what like the Mickey Mouse show on Disney or Disney Junior or whatever. That's where my mind went. That's what it reminded me of the most. It's like the kid Mickey that everyone would see on that show.
Oh yeah, I mean
Mouse
the Amber Mickey is 100% like classic Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Mickey.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That's storyborn Mickey right there.
It's weird to me, though. It seems the most out of place.
It does. It looks
Out of all
copy
them
pasted,
Mickeys.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
My concern is that because the rest are card art, that's some kind of alternate art Mickey that's going to have that really weird framing on the card. And if that's the framing of alternate arts, I'm going to be very sad. Unless it looks way better than it does on the sleeve.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think full art cards should even have a border.
Agreed.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next part we have is this was the first part of the rules we got. We got the anatomy of a card with the Sorcerer Mickey. We got some more cards. So when you guys saw these first few rules when we didn't have the full article from the Gamer, what were you guys' reaction to this? Because I know I was trying to figure it out. I know I got half of a page, I think. I saw half of a page where that was it, but then I started seeing everything. Both of these, and I got super excited. We got a bunch of more cards. We got new rules. It just gave us a little bit to know on how to play. But yeah, what was your guys' reactions to seeing this first rule sheet?
My head
The
exploded.
first page I got was that fuzzy image of Sorcerer Mickey,
Looked a
and
little
oh my
part.
gosh, the inkwell theory had been confirmed. For me, that was the biggest takeaway from that fuzzy image. I had to strain my eyes, but eventually, I got it, and it was pretty wild.
The funny thing is, a couple of us we actually caught the initial leak that got took down before
Yep.
it went fully public. So we're sitting here chit chatting in voice chat and Discord, and then someone starts up a spoiler channel and just drops everything, and
Yep.
so then we just start going off, and then suddenly the voice chat is just Join.
25
Yeah.
deep or something crazy like that.
It was at its limit, I think.
Yeah, it probably was.
I think we had like 40 at some point. Yeah.
Well, it stops you at 25.
Crazy. We had more than 25 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think the magazine leak, the most exciting thing about it was how quickly it just confirmed all the things that we already thought.
Yeah.
About the game. That we were so close on, most of the rules. Like we had put it together right. And I think that the anatomy of the card is like the most important piece of this magazine spread, because that spelled out like all of the guesswork we had done on the cards and how accurate the community was.
I know one of the big things that stuck out to us immediately were the words "bigger opportunities."
Yes,
we were freaking out about that because we want to see regionals, nationals, worlds.
We're literally yelling through our at our mics and voice chat.
Yeah, that Lorcana.
Something really fun to see with these challenges would be it tie into the story, the backstory of the game and the lore, and they'll tell. That's how you'll learn more about the story, is like little story snippets, and as you do more activities, you'll get more pieces. I think that would be a lot of fun, personally.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, because they said that was kind of the plan, right? They're going to be releasing basically the story behind the Floodborns, at least throughout the first couple of sets. Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome if they lined it up with the leagues.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how the league grows. And just getting there for the first night, the first few weeks, and seeing who shows up, and then seeing it get bigger and bigger week after week. I think it's important though to also remember that it's going to take a while before this spins up to, big regional tournaments and stuff, because even if it's the most popular game in the world on day one, they sell out of everything and everyone shows up. We need many sets before meta can form.
Yeah.
I say give it a year. We'll have 4 sets by then, so I think that would be a good starting place, personally.
Yeah, I'd say by start of summer next year, because if we get the 2 sets this year, and then 2 sets early February, and then maybe April, May-ish, by the start of summer, we'll have I feel a full meta. So yeah, a year from now.
Yeah, I could see them implementing maybe regionals or something after set 3. But I think it would make a lot of sense to me if at D23 next year you get an announcement for Worlds, the first Worlds.
Cool. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the chat, and John T raised a point about how much work it is for local game stores to put on organized play. And for me, this is one of the reasons why I'm going to go out of my way. I've already talked to my local game store and told them that I was willing to volunteer and run events. So that way, it just makes it as easy for them as it possibly can, because I'm committed to making a Lorcana scene happen. But I will be I'm really curious to see how committed stores are to this. Probably depends on how much product they sell to.
And how much of a community they want. How much they want to foster that community.
Absolutely,
because it definitely is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
A ton of it for sure.
Hopefully, it's pretty much all automated. Like John T said, I know My Hero has a similar system where anytime you play in leagues or whatever, you use their system to join in, and then you get your points through there based off your record, which you record in the app and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully it's all there. I have no idea how Pokemon does it.
Pokemon, they I believe they have their website, because if you go into your Pokemon, you can go into your Pokemon account and your Play Pokemon account, and it'll track everything. So they have their own system that they can use that gives you your points to earn towards worlds and earn towards worlds and stuff. So and you have your player ID which I think hopefully when you register on the companion app, or I'm hoping like the companion app also has a website version, but you get your player ID so you can put that in, and then you go in and you submit that when you want to play, and then that's how you keep track. Because I feel like if they want to make this successful, they want to make it as easy as they can on LGSs, and having that ability to just, okay, here's your player ID or whatever ID they have. That's your name. That's how many points you get. You can keep track of it here. Simple as that. If they want to make it more complicated, that'll be interesting. But I think if they can have something that simple to where you can just put in your number, that goes along with your name, easy as that.
Yeah. It'll be an app.
Yeah, for sure. I forgot what I was going to say.
I mean, if Pokemon can do it, they can for sure do it, because their Pokemon systems are pretty archaic, and they still make it work.
Yeah,
true.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Speaking of apps, there was a little mention in the article about the companion app having an interactive tutorial, which I thought was pretty cool, because I know some of the Bandai games are doing that. And I think it's pretty helpful just to be able to be like, hey, here, pull up the app, give it a try.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the app. I assume it will have like a collections, to mark which cards you have and which ones you still need, and having a tutorial on there too is going to make it really easy to, because every kid's got a phone, right? So,
yeah. Or an iPad or a tablet, something like that. Like even like a MacBook that has the Google Play Store, you download it on there, and it might not be essentially built for that, but you can still download it and play right from even a laptop or something.
The other thing I hope it has is a tournament locator. Going back to My Hero Academia, they do have that in there. It's a crappy user interface, but I love the fact that you can log in there and see which stores around you are having tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something Pokemon does. They have it on their website to like find an event. And I'm guessing that once it releases, that Lorcana website will update and have all of that stuff. It just seems like Magic has it, Yu-Gi-Oh has it, Pokemon has it. Like they all have their different versions of it. All these TCGs do. So I'm 100% betting on Lorcana will add something to their website to help with all of that stuff.
100%. So like I know like most games on that side of things, like Jonty, if you're still in the chat, this is for you. Like when would you expect to have to sign up to be like a Lorcana store, like to be able to participate in that kind of stuff? Like that's what I'm wondering. Like when will LGSs know about all of this? We don't have to wait on Jonty. Okay. Y'all can keep talking.
All right. Do we all have any last thoughts on that, or do we? Oh, Steggy says in the chat, my LGS put in their request a month or two ago. As far as I know, they haven't heard back. So I'm gonna guess that LGSs have been contacted or something like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the next part we have is these were the full rules, and this came from the Gamer. And Eric, I want to ask you, did you know this article was coming? Did you know this article was going to be released?
I'm not going to answer questions like that. that kind of question. No, that kind of question is designed to get me in trouble with Ravensburger, right?
That's a good point.
And I want to be able to keep bringing as much information as possible.
Sure.
So I
good graces.
Yeah, we got this information from Ravensburger, and we were told we were allowed to share it.
Gotcha.
So we did.
Awesome. So, like we said, the first part was the anatomy of the game. So I guess we can just talk about this. We got the 3 types of cards. You have your character glimmers, your item glimmers, you get your songs, and then it told you to set up the game and also like a mulligan rule. So I guess the newest thing we have is songs. So what do you guys think about this? What are your guys' initial reactions to songs and how their mechanic works?
I love them. I love that you can exert a character of a certain it's certain strength to be able to do it, or cost. It's a certain cost, and they can sing it for you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of utility.
It's also the most directly referential to the source material because, like, we're getting a lot of reimagined stuff, which I love. But even the storyborn characters are still new images, like it's still new art. Whereas the songs is like this is a shot from the scene in the movie where that song happens. Like it's the most directly pulled from the movies, and I think that's gonna be really cool to see once we have a whole pile of songs. It's like, oh yeah, I know that scene, I know that scene, I know that scene. That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really like nice how they implemented it. Just because people have been clamoring for and talking about songs like since the very first D23 article, and the fact that it's an action with a little tweak is it's just a subtype of action. I think is really clean and really nice because it's again lowering that barrier to entry, lowering that knowledge threshold. It's the same as everything else except you can do it for free, which is cool.
Yeah, they remind me of the items from Pokemon. Like you have, or the tools, I guess. You have your regular items, but now you have your tools that, and so like that's kind of the vibe I got it from. I think I relate everything to Pokemon just because that's what I've played. But I'm just excited to see like you could get like Maleficent to sing "Life is a Highway" or something like that. Like if we ever get Pixar, that's just something that's really funny to me. Just like you're gonna get these random characters singing these songs that you just wouldn't put together.
That would be a fun custom rule. You have to sing the song as the character you're making sing it.
Yeah.
So having Scar sing One Jump Ahead.
I mean, like, I'm just sitting here imagining, like, making Iago sing Just Around the River Bend, and, like, it's hilarious in my head.
You have to sing it in their voice, though.
Oh, yeah.
Or as close as you can get to it.
Right.
Yeah. Help you if you have Donald sing anything.
I know Brandon is all on board for this.
Brandon singing Gantu, having Gantu sing anything. That's funny.
If you sing the song in their voice, you get an extra lore point.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Not bad. I can get down with
Hard pass.
that.
Ooh, I'm gonna make a Spotify playlist with every single song that we get. That's what I'm gonna do.
JGG already did it.
Really?
Already on that.
Yeah, she's starting it, but doesn't mean we can't copy that.
Yeah.
Teddy's just been so behind on all this.
Yeah, it took me an hour and a half.
We get it, bud. We get it.
It took me an hour and a half to get to the this.
We're all sitting in Discord just talking about everything, going nuts, and then we get a message in our Glimmer Gang stuff from Teddy. He's just like, "Hey, did y'all see this thing from Mario about like a rules reveal? Like, what's up with that?" This is like 2 hours later.
Yeah, I was just not paying attention at all.
Our response is just, "Oh, you sweet summer child."
Yep.
And he's like, "What, did I miss something?" Yes, you did, sir. It was great. That was a highlight of yesterday for sure.
Yeah.
So, what do we think about this mulligan rule? How are we going to take this? I think it's really nice.
I love it.
I love it. As someone who played a lot of Hearthstone, it's a lot of the same feel of that. You get to choose which card you're putting back, and then you just fill back up on that. So there's no real disadvantage to it. So you get to make sure your hand is maybe as good as it can be.
Is it weird though that you can't mulligan the first game?
Yes, you can.
You can.
That was a miscommunication from content creators that misread stuff. Cassidy confirmed that text is literally meant like your first game you ever played.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like if you're not used to the idea of mulligan, you should skip it for now and just learn the game.
Because this is like the thing that'll be.
I didn't think that super strongly, but I saw enough people talking about it. And in the video that Traverse Taverns did, where they did their mock theme, people were like, "You can't mulligan your first game." So that's good to know.
That's just there for like brand new players, just to make it more simple for them. That's all it's there for. But like, I'm a huge fan. Partial mulligans are literally the best way to do mulligans. There's no feel bads, no anything. It's just whatever you don't like, toss it and draw new cards.
Yeah, it's super forgiving because 7 is a big hand. Like when Hearthstone does it, you're picking between either 3 or 4 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's the big difference there. So a lot more to sit and ponder about, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will make the start of games much slower. That's
that is true. Yeah. I'm curious to know, like, because it's best 2 out of 3. You have this mulligan. I'm really wondering how long, like, kite games will be. Because isn't Pokemon's like 50, I believe, and like later rounds go longer. But I'm very curious to see like how long games like time limit will go to. Because you have to have something like that just to keep the pace of play going.
Every game I've ever seen has been 50 that uses a best of 3 format.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The idea is 15 minutes per game, and also building in a little bit of extra time in case, you need extra turns or whatever. Give people time out.
Yeah, I'm going to guess there's going to be like turn 0, turn 1, turn 2, 2, 3, and then whoever has the most lore at the end wins.
Yeah,
Like
sounds
that.
likely.
Yeah.
I will say I don't expect many ties, though. It'll be either a win or a loss.
Yeah, very, very rare, if at all.
How would you tie?
Just the same amount of lore, same amount of lore. If like you come to
you time out. I got
if you time out, then like turn 0, turn 1, turn 2, turn 2, 3, and you just can't that would be the only way. But
usually there's tiebreakers after that though, so it'll be like lore and then cards in deck and then glimmers on field or something like that.
True. So I just know like in Pokemon, like if you have the same amount of prize cards and you time out and you can't get more, then it's just a tie. But there could be something like that. All right, so the next part we have is how to play. I think this is what everyone was looking forward to. Just learning how to play the game. This gave us basically everything we need to know. There's going to be more specifics, I believe, that come out, like timing, what we do in a tie. Like we said, like there will be more specifics that come out and like the actual rules. We know we have the French Gala, is it called, correct? That's in France. We'll have that to give us more, and then we'll have Gamma, which Jared, I know you're going to. Should be very excited about that. But I feel like we'll get more specifics before that. But for now, the first part we have is the beginning phase. And I've just highlighted all of the phases, and we're just going to go through them and see what we can talk about from that. So beginning phase, you ready your exerted cards. If anyone is watching this live or in the future, exerting is just taking it from the side and flipping it forward. Set, which is something new I've never seen in a game. You just check for anything that could happen before the start of your turn, and then draw. You draw your card. Basic TCG function. You always draw before your first turn or before your turn. Any of this surprise you guys, or just kind of make sense?
Makes complete sense to me. It's basically just untap, upkeep, draw from Magic with different names. And I do like ready, set, draw. It sounds good.
Oh, I didn't even think about that part.
Yeah. Ready, set, draw flows nicely.
Yep.
And the main thing out of this is the set phase and checking for abilities that happen at the start of the turn. So I am looking forward to seeing the cards that will utilize that phase.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything that mentions set phase yet, but we will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the next part is the main phase. So during the main phase, you can either put a card face down into your inkwell. You can take any of the actions listed below, which is play a card, use a character ability that doesn't require them to exert, use an item ability, take an action with a character that's been played since the start of your turn. That includes questing or challenging, or use an ability that requires them to exert. So I was kind of confused on this, like take an action with a character that's been in play since the start of your turn. Okay, so that means now that just made sense about it in my head.
So it's summoning sickness.
Yeah. Okay, that's I got that. Like as I was reading it.
To dry.
There you go. So did this surprise anyone?
Curing.
I don't think this seems like just natural, like what you would do. I think this is somewhat we expected, but is this
for me? I think, and this is my big take away from the entire rule reveal is the idea that your glimmers are also your resource if you choose to. There's no energy card, there's no land cards. And this is like I just wrote a whole piece about this that just went up about the idea that like there's no pack filler because every card can be an energy card. So even if it's a junk card that you would never play, there's still room for it in your deck if you want it to be there. If it's your favorite character and you want to put it in your deck, even though its effects are terrible and you would never play it, that's okay. It's an ink. Just think of it as an ink.
I like that
And
a
I think
lot.
that's such a cool twist on like the standard resource generation system that every card game uses. And it just makes it so much more feasible to build strong themes in your decks. You can build your villain deck, your cat deck, your princess deck. And even if you're like have to put cards in there that are kind of bad, you just think of them as land cards and it fits. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, as long as it has
where was that
flourish,
article?
yeah.
You want me to put in the
Yeah, you can
I'll
drop
put
it in the Twitch chat.
in
Yeah.
the Twitch.
Yeah, you can drop that in the Twitch chat.
Do it.
Have to draw attention.
It sounds like a good
chat.
read.
Just have to draw attention to a comment in the chat because my co-host actually, James Riley, Dan Regal, said, "Ready, set, draw," because you use ink.
That's
clever.
Clever man.
Clever.
Clever man.
Clever.
Haha.
And then
That's beautiful. Actually.
I think one of the things going along with what you just said, Eric, I think we just have to make sure that, like Steggy brought up a point that you have to make sure you have that swirl, because if you don't have that swirl, you can't use it as ink.
Right. It's not every card.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like we've seen more cards that have the swirl than don't have it so far.
I think we've only seen 3 that don't, or maybe 4 that don't.
Yeah, it's been a very small amount.
Hades, Magic Mirror, Dragonfire.
The song doesn't have it. I know that.
6.
So maybe 6.
6.
Yeah. So most do, and it doesn't matter if they're characters or if they're actions. Like they can all have the inkwell indicator. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Inkwell icon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 6 out of what are we up to now? 38.
So pretty good ratio. Pretty good chance that if there's a card you like,
it'll have.
You can use it. Yeah.
And you can also use, like, the new song. You can use it to get around that if you wanted to, like that.
It also it just adds so much more versatility to your decks. You can build towards a win condition, and then if things aren't going that way and you need to pivot, suddenly your card that like everything hinged on that's just an energy now, and you can build decks that have multiple win conditions that way.
Yeah,
you're not filling your deck with a third of your cards are just lands that halfway through the game are going to be dead draws.
Yeah, right. Everything you draw is viable throughout the entire game. That I think is one of the coolest things. Because like, I've dabbled in Magic, I've dabbled in Digimon, I've dabbled in Dragon Ball, I've played Pokemon mostly. But like, there are always those cards that are just sit there and they're dead. Like, you can't do anything with them. You can't, like, it just sits there, and you want to get rid of them. You want to not have to worry about them, and you can't do anything. But with Lorcana, you can't. And I think that is honestly one of the best moves they could have made.
Yeah, I was very concerned about the pitching mechanic, just because it's not something I've done with before. There's other games where I don't enjoy the pitching mechanic, and but not this type, like Flesh and Blood. Like, I don't like pitching in there. So I was worried about it. But after playing some games, I'm fine with it. Like, it's just another decision tree. Not really feeling the FOMO. It hasn't come into a situation where I was like, oh man, if I hadn't pitched this card on turn 2, I'd be winning right now. Like, I don't even remember what I pitched by turn 2. By like turn 5 from turn 2, you know? So like, that's one thing. I do still kind of wish that there was separate resource mechanics, just because then it wouldn't be impacting your hand so much, and, you know, impacting your available resources, because unless you have some kind of draw engine, I've been running into a lot of situations where it's just top deck city, which isn't as much fun. So
Don't you worry, we'll get more draw mechanics in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm hoping we're going to see a lot more draw mechanics.
Well, just look at more recent and of himself. If you're going to be playing blue items or sapphire items, you're gonna be refilling your hand quite often.
I personally think with what we've seen from Steel and what we've seen from Sapphire, that Moana Simba deck, I think it's gonna be the best out of the 3 starter decks in my mind.
Aurora.
Aurora symbol. Yeah.
Not only that, but we only have 38 cards revealed. It's like you said when we were talking earlier, Spencer. A lot of the cards, especially for some of the decks, are higher costed cards. And even the ones that were revealed just recently, a lot of them are 2, 3, 4 costs, but we just haven't seen a lot of the cheaper ones. So I'm not too worried about it right now.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's going to be fixed, but it's just one of those things where, like, when you're deck building, especially for newer players, it's going to be after the thing that they need to, like, you need draw. And if you don't, it's not going to be.
This is a game that needs it. Yeah.
Because, like, Rockstar Stitch, oh man, he's everything I ever dreamed of. he's so good. He's so good.
Okay, well, the next part we have is our Inkwell. This is where you'll put cards face down. One of the points Eric, you made in your newest article was that all the cards are double-sided. You have the actual card on the one side, which is face up, which is your actual character, like what it can do. Brain fart. Oh, look at that.
Like one of them.
Go off.
And then...
Sean just flexing on all of us.
That's what they look like, everybody.
So you have that, but then you can put a card in from your hand into your Inkwell in each turn, and you have to make sure you have that symbol in the top left, and then you show your opponent, and then the key thing is every card represents 1 ink. Even if it has like 5 and it has the Inkwell around it, it doesn't count as 5, it counts as 1. And you can't get them out, but something Eric also mentioned in his article is they can be taken. Looks like there seems to be a threat to your ink that it can be
manipulated.
Yeah. So I honestly like this. I know with the new song, I'm blanking on the name of it again. It's
One Jump Ahead.
One Jump Ahead. You can obviously there are more ways to add ink instead of just having to do it turn by turn, and I think ink being able to put that in is nice. Like you don't have to wait till turn 6 to be able to play a 6 cost card. Some might if they don't have the ability to put those in, put new ink in, but it's nice. I like it. What do you guys think?
Tempted to play with clear sleeves.
Yeah.
Just so I get that
I do
nice...
like the card back, so yeah, I'm tempted to just get clear sleeves at some point.
They are pretty, but
I honestly was expecting the sleeves from Ravensburger to have like a clear section where you could see the logo on the back, but
that's a really good idea.
That would be really neat. Just like have a little circle of art around it, and then still be able to see the.
That'd be nice.
The ink symbol, yeah.
I know like Dragon Shield, I believe, has like clear matte. So the back is still matte, but like the front is a regular sleeve. So I could see myself picking up those.
That's what I have. That's what these D23 cards are in. Is they're in the clear Dragon Shields, I believe. So you can still see it rather well, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
At least you have yours in sleeves, Eric.
They are. I wish I had put them in top loaders because they're all, you know how holographic cards get, man. They're like taco shells now.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They're just all rolled up.
Were you at D23, Eric?
I was, yeah.
Lucky guy.
I have an interview with the designers up.
Oh.
You can share that too.
Awesome.
I mean, it's older. It's from D23, but yeah, I interviewed them there.
Yeah, I remember that article. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Jasper
Ixia is telling you in the Twitch chat that he had top load. He could have given you a D23.
He did. He gave me one for Mickey. I just didn't have one for the rest of this stuff. But yeah, he did give me one. That's the first time we met. I mean, obviously, I didn't know any of you people back then.
Nope.
Here's
That's fair.
I'll show the interview.
But yeah, back to your original question. I do like the idea of the inkwell. I think it's a great resource system. I don't know what I was expecting. I was kind of hoping we get like a memory type system like in Digimon, but I do really like the fact that you can, like, every card is a resource. Every card has a purpose. There's no like Sean or Spencer. He's played My Hero Academia. Sometimes you draw a hand and it's just a dead hand. Like, you have cards that you just simply can't use.
Yep.
And with Lorcana, with the inkwell system, as long as if there's that swirl around, you'll be able to use those. So I do like that.
Yeah. The same Magic faces much the same problem with having either too many resources, too few resources. That's a very common problem, and I think that the guys at Ravensburger have done a pretty good job of fixing it. Like, that's not really going to be a problem that we run into. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I know I was initially wary of the speculation of having a pitching system, but the more we talk about it and the more I read up on it, the more comfortable I'm feeling with this idea of having to put cards from my hand as a resource and being able to utilize everything else. So I'm ready to put it to practice and just see how much I actually like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
just had to get a game in.
I really like the tempo of a Hearthstone match. I really like how each turn scales up, and and some players can ramp, and you can. I'm sure there will be ways to do that here too, like you mentioned. But I love the pace of a game that the stakes get higher every turn, and I think this is gonna have that too.
Yeah, the Maui card acts as a ramp for 3 resources. You can play a 5-cost card.
Yep.
Yeah.
I could see in Emerald getting a card that can return a card from your discard to your inkwell. I could see that happening easily.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
There's lots of design space available.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah. I'm feeling like most decks are probably going to top out in the 6 ink area. Just based off what I've seen so far.
Yeah, that was the question I had is what do you guys think is the average, because there isn't a limit talked about in the rules that we have, so I'm assuming it's like Magic, you can have as many as you want. But
I think so.
What kind of idea do you guys have about how high it would go?
I think you can keep going. I could, late game, if you want to play a 6 and a 4 cost and have 10 in there, I believe you can do that. And I definitely think that being able to have that much and the end of games when there is a bunch of ink, it will be a full out brawl. It'll be, I'm going to play these very powerful cards. Can you respond on your next turn? One of the things, this is just I thought about, one of the things I think would be very interesting to see is if because you want to get to 20 the fastest, and whoever gets to 20 the first gets it. So going first in this game is going to be very pivotal, I believe. I don't think you ever want to go second unless there is a card that says to go second. It'd be very interesting to see if during the other player's turn, I know Villainous has cards that you can play while the other person is going, to stop them from getting that win con. That would be something that is very interesting to me, just because can you stop somebody from doing it? Or if you can't get it and they're so far out ahead of you and you're just okay, you can have it. That's something that I also thought about.
Nah, I think you have to be. I don't think there's gonna be much interaction on the opponent's turn, outside of reactive stuff like Cruella and Kit Kat. But it's more about being proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the best of 3 format comes in. It's you're not just losing to a coin flip. Even if you lose on the first round and you go first, you go second, then the next round you're going to go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that the cards that you play will have summoning sickness, so
True.
You can't just lay stuff down and be like, I'm going to quest and win now, right? They're going to sit there vulnerable to any kind of hard removal for an entire turn.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of like. Not sure how I feel. I think if they can always change this and address it, like if it becomes an issue with the game or in the meta, where instead of just drawing a card, which like the extra resources is nice, the extra card advantage, but if it was something like you start the game by drawing one extra card and placing down an extra resource, I think extra ink, I think that would be even more impactful. Like that way you're at least both on the same page as far as resources go. But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think we'll obviously get like the more official rules, so we should be able to figure that out.
Not too far now.
Nope. So the next thing we have is using abilities. We all know that there are card text on cards that have the abilities you can use. So one of the key things is cards, they affect cards in play. So the cards that are in your deck, discard, hand, or inkwell. Oh, we just lost somebody. There we go. Well, for everyone on the live stream, names are going to be mixed up.
Sorry about that.
No worries, but I can fix that as we go. But just, what do you guys think about these abilities? My biggest thing was a character with a particular ability cannot be granted that ability again. Does that mean we can only use that ability once and you can't use it again, or is it just per turn?
Per turn.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. This is
a turn flow.
Okay.
Yep.
True.
Yeah.
True. So what do you guys think about abilities? Does it make sense? I feel like it all tracks with what you would think.
I mean, I started looking back at the abilities and realizing that some of them seem way more powerful than they did before we knew the rules, right? I mean, like Maurice seemed really good, but now you read it once you know the rules and you're like, oh wow, Maurice actually might be like pivotal.
Yeah.
And there's a few cards like that where you're like, wow, that seems powerful. And that's what you want. Like, obviously you don't want stuff that's broken, but you want to be able to like just look at a card and be like, oh wow, that actually seems really strong. I want to try to use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty standard to me. Just protecting stuff, making sure you don't have some kind of weird rules-breaking nonsense or game-breaking thing.
Yeah. One of the I think the biggest things we got in this section was we got confirmation of Beast's Mirror. We don't have the actual card.
Yep, that's another one.
But it's a draw card. You have no cards in your hand, draw a card. That is, I think, really nice. Like, I don't think we know the color yet, but that's a nice card like to throw in like a one of, and if you can get that item down, it stays there the entire game unless it is removed. But if you get that down early and you like somehow run out of cards, there you go. You have the way to get a card and to get your hand going again.
Yeah, you could have two cards per turn instead of one card if you keep your hand empty, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So our mirror card's going to be the drawing mechanics because you have Magic Mirror and now you have Beast Mirror. So what other mirrors do we have in Disney?
I don't know how many mirrors there really are.
That is a weird correlation, yeah. And just
Alice has the Looking Glass.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Boy. Yeah. And just my theory, since we got Belle and Maurice and Sapphire, I'm guessing this card would be Sapphire too.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seems likely.
Maybe like a magic orb. Isn't there a villain that has like a
the magic ball?
The Evil Queen?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jafar has one.
Yeah, Jafar has one.
Yeah.
See, there are definitely options out there.
The Robin Hood when he's masquerading as a
oh no
person.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that was so good. So funny.
Where are we at? All
right, so next one is playing a card. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Play a card, make sure you have enough ink in your inkwell, and then you turn your ink to use side, you exert it, and then yeah, you don't have that ink to use. So if you have 10 ink, you can play 2 cards if you can add that up. But once the card comes into play, you have you can't summoning sickness, so it sits there, can't do anything until your next turn. Yeah, I don't think this was really not surprising to many people. This is kind of how every game works with playing a card down.
Yeah.
I just have to say, as somebody who's not a TCG expert, card draw seems like it's going to be a really powerful mechanic in this game.
Yes, it is.
And it kind of makes me want to play Sapphire Amber. Amber for Stitch because of the awesome card draw he has, but Robin Hood and Maurice have card draw. But also, Robin Hood has evasive where he can, attack the Ruby characters, and Amber has the healing cards so far. So I'm kind of like, I was thinking of running a Sapphire Amethyst deck, but the more I think about it, I'm thinking I like the idea of a Sapphire Amber deck.
I will say for playing a card too, items don't have that stipulation. Those you can use the turn that they're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only question that we've seen come up in regards to like this topic is we still don't have confirmation on exactly how shift works. Like, what does it mean by playing it on top of that card? Do we keep any effect?
Yeah, shift in general, we don't have anything yet.
What happens when it's destroyed, et cetera, et cetera.
So it seems to me that it's like evolving in Pokemon, and the purpose of shifting is because it reduces the card cost. So you could just play that card. Yeah, or you can replace a card for cheaper.
Yeah. I agree, but there are other options that it could be, and so until we've hashed them out, then people are gonna still be speculating. So
Yeah.
So the next part we have is multiplayer games, and I think this is something everyone is excited about. I think the main competitive way will be 2-player games. That's how any regular TCG competitive scene organized play works. It's one-on-one. Sneaky. There we go.
I clicked a button. My bad.
Oh no!
No worries. But yeah, so multiplayer games. What do you guys? I think this is one of the most exciting things I had was being able to play with a group and playing one-on-one is fun. I think it's the more competitive way, but playing as a group and just seeing like who can get there the fastest. I think the games will be a bit longer when you play with multiple people, but it's still really exciting to see that they are building this in from the get-go.
Absolutely, man. I completely agree. Obviously, with the overwhelming success of Commander in Magic the Gathering, it's their most played format at this point, I believe, and they're clearly future-proofing this game. They did it right out of the gate. They're like, you know what? You just play multiplayer right out of the gate. I could even see them implementing tournaments for multiplayer at some point, and not just 1v1.
I think it's huge that you can buy the game for your kids, and then the entire family can play it together.
Yeah.
I think
that's
exactly such a smart decision.
I am a little surprised. I guess it does make sense since they do say you can play with 3 or more players, but I feel like it would have been cool if they would have come out with 4 starter decks, so then you could do a four-way game, with 4 different decks. But I mean, 3 decks. We all know that if we all pick up different decks, we can play against each other at the same time. So
yeah,
definitely how I anticipate that I'll teach my brothers, because I got 3 other brothers that I would probably play with at the same time, and be able to teach them all the game within the same game, pretty much.
Right.
Yep. Instead of having to go one by one and teach them a bit at a time.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, none of it really surprised me, and the rules are literally just you play the game, but you go clockwise.
Yeah.
That's literally the same multiplayer rules as Magic. Like, those are the multiplayer rules of Commander. Commander is not a multiplayer format. It is just how people play it, and they go clockwise.
I'd like to see a game store just make a big circle table and have everybody play one game, just like 30 kids.
That would be awesome.
One game.
Last man standing. Let's go.
Take forever.
That would be like worse than waiting for your turn in D&D.
True.
30 minutes later, I'm gonna roll this dice.
So yeah, multiplayer.
Love it.
Get ready to lose, everybody.
Someone's bringing up Broom Matters in chat, so I just have to shout it out. The Brooms.
Okay, so did I mess this up? Using abilities. Oh, I guess I copied using abilities twice, unfortunately.
Forgive you.
Next one. What did I miss? Now I'm confused. I feel there's definitely something I missed now. Let's see. I don't know what that section is. It may be multiplayer. And that's using abilities. Okay, sorry. Next section. So I've combined questing, challenging, and damage. Questing is how you send your characters to get the lore, those little pips, or lore now, on the side of the card is how many you can get. So we will have multiple that, like, the Mickey, the Brave Little Tailor, I believe they have, if you see 3 or 4. See 3 or 4?
4.
4.
PLT
Okay.
4.
So yeah, so he will be very powerful in doing that. That's a fourth of your, or a fifth of your total so far. So questing is basically how you win. Challenging is how you get your other opponent's characters off the boards. You can only challenge exerted characters though. So if you want to send someone on a quest, be careful because they can be challenged the next turn and possibly taken off the board. And then damage, it's persistent damage. So if your character has 4 willpower and you get attacked with 3 strength, you will have 1 willpower left, and it'll just be like dice or any counters on a card. So did any of this surprise you guys? I know that's been my basic question, but what were your guys' thoughts about this? These 3 parts of the game.
I'm excited to see cards that reset exerted characters. So that Mickey could quest and then you could reset him and he could quest again, or just stand by or challenge and clear their board. Like, that seems like a really fun mechanic to be able to like make 2 moves with a card.
Yeah.
There's something in the rules that indicated that's coming. Like, it says like a card remains exerted until your next turn, or if another card were to reset them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that seems like a really fun combo.
Yeah, it seems like a really good mechanic in this game.
I'm glad we can finally put to rest what is a challenge.
No one ever has to ask it again.
I have my screenshot and I just throw it up in the chat now. It's like, if anyone asks it, it's just like, here it is.
Perfect.
Blake's prepared.
But yeah, speaking of the resetting, that just got me thinking about Mulan getting her effect off multiple times in a turn, and
that would be nice.
That would be nuts.
Clutch. Yeah, none of it was really surprising, but putting it all together and seeing how it works it's been a really interesting experience, just with the persistent damage and choosing whether to go aggro by scoring lore or tempo by challenging characters, which is really funny that attacking stuff isn't aggro in this game.
Right.
And that's what I've been saying from jump. And it's, these decision trees that you have to make and your sequencing and stuff has been really interesting. And like figuring out what can I attack with this so that it survives, so that then if they want to get rid of it, they have to attack, so then at least I'm getting some more damage on the board, or can I heal so I get a 2-for-1? Like, it's been really cool. I'm super excited about it. I also like how the questing and the challenging and everything are separate, because it just gives more design space for them to work with. Like, it gives you more buttons to tweak to determine how powerful a card is, and then also we've seen the on questing abilities on Isma and Maurice and Belle, which just open up a whole nother option, like a whole nother area of design space, which I don't know, I'm just super excited about everything involving how those different interactions, play with each other.
Yeah, I think it's the mark of a really well-designed game that the rules are so straightforward and easy to understand, but in action, there's so much complexity to the decision making.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, I was hoping for the game and we got, was easy to learn, hard to master, because I believe it was Ryan Miller said this, that the cards are what make the game complicated. Making sure you have the exact right number of cards. I think it is going to be very equivalent to Pokemon, where what you have in your deck matters a lot. And being able to get to those cards quickly that will get you the win condition is going to matter. But yeah, that's just my point of view. I think
hopefully not as much search your deck for this card.
True. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about Pokemon. It's just
constantly going through your deck.
Yeah.
I will say not only that is making sure that you play and do your actions in the right order as well.
Oh yeah.
That's going to be a huge part of strategy too.
Yeah, sequencing and lines of plays are going to be so critical in this game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of building a deck, that's our next topic, and that's going to the bathroom. So if you guys want to talk about deck building, go ahead. I'll leave it.
You can build them.
1 or 2 inks max, 60 cards minimum, 4-card playset, no legendary rule, by Steve Warner.
Yep.
Just 3 rules. That's all you got to remember. It's super wide open.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's anything too complicated.
I had saw some questions in chat yesterday or this morning about people wondering why you would build a 60-card deck when you can have more. Anybody want to take that?
Well, the more cards you have, the more likely it is you'll get the cards you want when you draw, right?
The smaller the deck, the more likely you'll be able to draw what you want. It's about deck efficiency.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency. That's the word.
Yeah.
It's funny in this game, though, considering we don't have any true dead weight in our decks, potentially. So, it will affect that a bit, to be fair.
That's it. Just to follow up on that, are there any cards we've seen so far that you think are just not playable based on what we know?
I mean, since they can always be used as ink, I mean, that's a weird...
Besides that,
so it's like a soft no?
So basically the condition would be a non-flourish card that has bad
Poor
stats
value.
or a really bad ability. That would be like the conditions for a bad card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it can't gain you any ink and it otherwise isn't playable either, then yeah.
Because even vanilla cards from my couple of games that I've played have been super clutch, because that one little extra stat point that they usually have can really make the difference between you being able to shut out your opponent's board or not. Because that one little difference might be the difference between everything that he challenges you with dying or everything he challenges with surviving, or you surviving 2 challenges and going for a 2-for-1 instead of 1-for-1. So I actually think that vanillas, might have a place in the game, just depending on where they fall, stat wise compared to the average.
Steggy came up with an example of a dead card. That Maui action card can be a dead card in hand if you don't have a character to play.
Sure.
Because it does not have a flourish, if I remember right.
Yeah. High risk, high reward.
And the thing with the Maui card is you just have to be able to, I think the main thing is to be able to play a 4 or a 5 cost for 3. Because you're not going to pay 3 to play a 1 or 2 cost.
For sure.
That would be a really bad play.
Yeah.
Really inefficient, at least.
Yeah. I mean, that can be said just about pretty much any non-flourish card, whatever we're going to be calling those. Just because like there's definitely been situations, where we've been playing where you gotta have a Hades in your hand and he costs 8 and you can't do anything with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
It-
just stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Until you got that other
Non-inkable
Hades
card.
and enough villains to justify them. Yeah.
Or like I was playing a game and I drew a Lady Tremaine. I was like, sweet, can't play her or I have no reason to, so I'm just gonna ink her. And then nope, she does not have a flourish.
Mhm.
True.
I also wonder if there's much value in playing a deck that's made of one color, just because your pool is so much bigger if you play two
Yeah,
colors.
Yeah, exactly.
I see no reason to, unless there's specific cards that are like, Ruby Matters cards. Like they only care about Ruby cards, and that's what you're building around. But other than those specific archetypes, I see no reason to play a monocolor deck.
Not in the
Right.
first set, at least. I imagined it would take quite a few sets in order to truly make a decent monocolor deck.
Absolutely, I agree.
Because an ink is an ink, right? Like
Yeah,
there's no such
exactly.
thing as a sapphire ink, so you don't really need to build around your colors.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I don't know if this was mentioned when I was away, but the new Elsa, we have another Elsa confirmed, Queen Region.
Yep.
I just by the name, I'm gonna say like this is like an evil Elsa. I don't know. I feel like just like it just seems like with Regen, it just seems like something that like we may have an evil Elsa on our hands. Anyone else take it that way, or am I the only one?
I didn't,
that's
but I'd
just
like to see
like-
it.
I think that's just like a Disney thing where like princesses are good and queens are bad.
Yeah, it feels right. It
Well,
does feel correct.
Elsa Snow Queen, though. Our Dreamborn Elsa is a Snow Queen.
It's true.
So like,
But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see, because we have a few of those already, right? Like Hades.
Yep.
Maybe that Captain Hook is not evil.
Yeah.
The duelist.
Oh yeah, that you can.
he's a villain, isn't he?
It does say villain, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't so like I don't know much about the Frozen actual storyline. Like, is that basically Storyborn Elsa? Like, Queen Regent is a queen that's ruling in place of somebody else.
Right.
So,
Well,
does she rule in place of Anna? Like, I don't.
She rules she rules because her parents died. Her parents died in a boat, like a ship. Their ship capsized at sea, and that's when she took over the throne. I don't know if it was right away, but it was around that time, so possibly, but
That's just a queen then.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So this could be a different queen we could see. But yeah, that is tired.
Stop that, young buck.
I'm tired. I think we're all exhausted from everything that we've learned.
I do got a question in chat here. Do we want to try answering?
Number one's question.
Number one's question.
Here's a question from
Great name, by the way.
What are the deck building ratios? Seems like we want more characters and actions and items.
Oh, Geo.
But actions and items seem to give more utility when challenging or questing, or catching risk, having encouraged banished. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that hard removal is going to be such an important part of deck building because you cannot challenge a character unless they're exerted. So I suspect that we'll have lots of action cards in our deck. Maybe even close to half our decks will be actions.
But then, unless we see like alternate win condition stuff, like in Sapphire, if there's a character that when it quests it gains 1 more for every item on the field you control or something, you need characters to win.
Sure.
And so they're still going to have to make up the mass majority of your deck. So I'm thinking I'd go as far as say it's like 80% characters.
I'm
I think
thinking
it's too early
70-30.
to tell.
70-30? I can get behind that.
I'd say it's 50 25 25 or 50 something. I think at least half the deck will be characters, and then the rest of the other half will be, I think, a split. But that's my prediction.
Let's see, what's 8 out of 40?
5.
I think if you take a deck like a Sapphire Maurice deck, for example, you're going to end up having more items than you would normally in a deck, you know?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
So it'll definitely hinge on your deck build, like what you're building and whatnot.
so. Yeah, I guess that's like. Do you think decks will be built around characters or actions, or will it be or items? Where do you guys think will they be built around the characters that you're trying to get to the lore total you need?
Well, characters win you the game, so I would think that they have quite a bit more characters than the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Actions are used to help your characters gain the lore. As far as I can tell, we haven't come across an action yet that gains you any lore. Like there might be some that take away your opponent's lore, but I haven't seen any that actually gains you.
Yeah,
So I would say
there
The
is
song gets you lore.
it gets you an ink, doesn't it?
It gets you ink.
Ink,
But
right?
there is
Yeah.
there is a mention somewhere in the rules about getting lore from places other than characters. So I'm sure we will see actions and other stuff that can generate lore. But
Yeah, I mean, ideally, all kinds of different deck compositions are viable, and you can
Mhm.
build a deck that's, mostly items.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can build a deck that doesn't have that many characters, but has such a strong win condition. I would not like it if it's, you have to have 50% of your deck is characters, 25% of your deck is items, because that's the meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be a good like baseline, but once you get into trying to maximize what your deck can do, yeah, you're going to have to tweak those percentages to match what you're trying to do with your deck.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, like, what was the prediction set wise? So people are looking at Isma and where she falls in the 34. There was 8 slots after her. So like 26 characters, 8 other stuff. At least how the set would break down. Whether
It's not a bad ratio. I like that.
whether that reflects, decks or not is a different.
Each color could be different too.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. I don't think it's likely.
Yeah.
It's not for set 1.
And I think we have that was 38, right? 38 or 36?
38, I think.
38. And there's 204 in the full set. Like we still have
So many to go.
So a ton
Yeah.
of cards to learn about.
Not even 20%.
No.
6 goes evenly into 204 anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the amounts of cards in each color would be the same. Just the ratios could be different depending on what the color's known for or good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
That's fair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So our last and final section is, second to last, shall I say, is turn order at a glance. Oh crap! I forgot to copy and paste this. I realized this is building a deck. Let's see if I can find it real quick and put this in here.
It's kind of just a summary of everything else at this point, right?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
does, but it does show all the different symbols that you need to know for willpower and strength and that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our very last is how to win. And this was the last, I think, key point you brought up in your article,
Woo,
Eric.
winning.
Is we all have to make sure that there are 2 ways to win. The main way is to get to 20 or more wins, but if your deck runs out and you go to draw and you have no cards there, you lose as well. And I think that was definitely something we were all wondering, would you discard recycle, or if you deck out, are you going to lose? And that is the case. So I guess this also brings an opening for, are there going to be mill decks? Are we going to see cards that are going to try to mill people out?
Oh yeah, we definitely will.
Hope not.
I mean, yeah,
we can already make ourselves discard and stuff like that, so it's only a matter of time before we can make our opponents do the same thing.
I hope Ravensburger makes the executive decision.
No mill.
That people do not playing against mill, and so they will not put it in. At least not as a viable strategy.
it feels like a more aggressive play style than
little bit.
what this game is
Yeah.
sort of aiming for, right? Like it seems not aggressive, it seems antagonistic
Mhm.
in a way that I don't think fits the theme of this game.
Yeah,
I
For sure. You could
Could you
totally
imagine
argue
playing
that.
with your
Absolutely.
kids? Could you imagine playing with your kids and you're
Milling
like,
them out.
I checked you out, but Dad, I want to play my Mickey Mouse. Too bad.
It's in the Discord.
I see it much more likely as far as devious actions that we're going to be interacting with the lore aspect of the game than we are decking each other out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there, I was gonna say, and there are other options like to be able to create for getting that feeling without using that particular like annoying strategy. For example, I'm currently building a Digimon deck that is self-mill, and my goal is to have 40 of my 50 cards in my graveyard on turn 3 or 4. And
I ran Grixis self mill during like the Ravnica War of Spark era, like a couple years back. People hated it because I didn't do anything. I milled myself until I get like Narcomoebas and like Arclight Phoenixes into my graveyard, cast 3 instants of sorceries, flop the birds back out onto the battlefield, and swing for a win.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a draw out win condition so that if you end up building your deck around the idea of throwing your hand away or throwing your deck away, that there is a risk built into that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in a control style deck that is constantly just clearing the board, you could run into a situation where just people naturally run out of cards without any extra help.
Yeah.
And it puts a natural timer on the game. I mean, the timer is really long, but if somebody's running a whole bunch of draw, and like that's the disadvantage is you might be able to get your stuff, but you're inching closer to losing.
And if you just build decks that don't work, right? If just 2 kids throw their favorite cards together and the decks just literally don't work, at least you're still going to have a winner eventually.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Fair.
Yeah, if you limit yourself to the 2 colors, you could basically put a pile together, and somebody will win eventually.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which that'll be fun for kids. I didn't look at it like that, but that'll be a lot of fun for them to just feel like they've accomplished something. They did it with their own ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like even if like you just throw your favorite characters together, I feel like this game is geared towards the fact that you can still get there eventually. Obviously, if you're playing against, like, if you just throw stuff together and you're playing against a deck that has, like, a purpose and can stop you, then obviously, yes, you might not get there. But if you have, like, 2 kids that just throw 2 decks together and say, let's play, you can get to the win condition. And I feel like it's so easy also just, if you want to play a quicker game, turn the total down to 10. You can turn it down to make it a quicker game. And I think if like you're teaching and you don't want to go all the way to 20 because 20 may take, I'm not sure like how long it'll take to get there. But if like you just want to play quick game and see how to teach people, turn it down to 10, turn it down to 15, and you'll be able to get through a game quicker and be able to teach someone how to play a lot quicker as well. And I think that's something that is very nice. You can always turn up too if you want a longer game, but that is something that is nice as well. I think they thought about, but I can't confirm that obviously.
So there's
Jared wants to bounce study.
Okay. So yeah, we just want to thank Jared for coming and being able to be here with us.
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't, go follow him on Twitter at Citizens of Lorcana, Meme King of Lorcana, the first unofficial fan of Lorcana. He's the one leading the charge. So
didn't you just crack 1,000 today, Jared?
I did, and I'm at 1,060 when I last checked.
Let's go.
There we go.
You deserve it, sir.
Anyway. Well, thanks, everyone. It's been fun.
Yep.
Bye.
See you
Thanks
later.
very much, Jared.
Hey, bud.
Okay, I'm going to.
There was one more detail in the rules that we didn't touch on that I wanted to ask you guys how you interpret this. In the about the game section at the very beginning, it's explaining just the general idea of collecting lore. And then it says, with the right strategy and a bit of luck, you can preserve your collected lore against future threats. Do you read that as just sort of a generic like story world building thing, or do you think that's suggesting the idea that your lore can be destroyed or stolen?
Well, I believe that we will have ways to manipulate lore, steal it, or outright just take it away from them, or your opponent. I mean,
yeah, like a lot of people have been saying that the Aladdin King of Thieves in the starter deck is probably going to have some kind of lore stealing mechanic, or maybe Abu.
Something in that deck will.
Yeah.
That would be a very cool strategy to let your opponent get a little ahead and then just pull their points from them.
Exactly.
Actually, thinking back to the organized play, what if that's like points that we collect for our competitive journey?
There we go.
Steal someone's rank points.
Yep, absolutely. I'm all for it.
I mean, like the preserving part. So maybe it's like, it talks about win or lose. You still collect points. So it's like, well, what if you win? Like, what if it's however much lore you score in that game? That's how many points you get. So winners will get 20, and then your losers will get whatever they got.
Right.
So like those close games, you lose them, you still get rewarded for it because you're not losing out.
Yeah. And I mean, blowouts might feel doubly worse, but it's always feel bad. So look like a wax statue right now. Face is so shiny.
All right. So we want to say thank you to everyone for coming and watching. Do we have any last thoughts? We've gone through a lot. It's been a crazy few days for I think all of us. Something that we've all been waiting for, and we've all been waiting for it to happen, and now we have it. And obviously, we're going to get more in the next few weeks with Gala and Gamma. So yeah, what are your guys' last thoughts about everything we've gotten so far?
I'm very happy. I think this game's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to start playing.
Yeah, same. But just been taking it all in and just going ahead and thinking of what sort of strategies I want to employ with this, and just getting used to that pitching idea.
Yeah. I'm excited to finally be able to get some games in. I was, joking that I was hoping that since I was off for Easter this week, we'd get rules. And but I didn't, we weren't supposed to get them we weren't expecting to get them for another 2 weeks, but then they showed up. So now we get to play. Yeah. which is awesome. And I'm really just looking forward. I know, right? I'm really just looking forward to more cards and seeing what other strategies we're going to be able to build around and implement, and all the different decks and archetypes and stuff we're going to see. And that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
When I read the rules, I don't have any concerns anymore about the gameplay of Lorcana. I'm concerned about distribution and long-term support. And
that's a whole nother beast. Yeah.
All of those business things. I have concerns about I have concerns about the game, but I'm no longer worried about how it's going to feel to play. Like when I read these, I think this is a good game. This is a solid game.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. Completely. This is going to be a really solid game. It's gonna take some getting used to, because it's a lot of concepts that we're not used to in the same game. But I think ultimately it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it comes down to good job, Ravensburger. You made a good game. We appreciate it. Now get it into people's hands.
Yeah. Pump them numbers up, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone who has been watching for watching live. This, I think, was an amazing first live podcast. This is where we will go most of the time for the foreseeable future. I think we're always going to do our live podcast now. I want to thank Jared for coming. Even though he had to head out a little bit early, he was an amazing guest. He always is an amazing content creator for Lorcana. And if you guys want to go drop him a follow on Twitter or listen to his podcast that he hosts, go do that. And then Eric, I also want to thank you for coming on. You're writing some amazing articles for the game, and we are so lucky to have you covering the game, and we can't wait for more from you as well.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, yeah, as for that, for all of us, we thank you all for listening, and don't forget to glimmer on, and we will see you guys in the next podcast.